Welcome back to Jones CD, where we get into the depth and grit on various historic happenings. This is Angelina and Esme Jones, along with co-stars Emerson Don Vito and Emily Cobos. Today, we'll be taking a close look into Christopher Columbus's many trials and tribulations. How did his first voyage to the Americas come to be, and what took place? What did he bring back to Spain, and how did the crown react?
Welcome back to another historical story time. Grab some food, maybe a drink, and settle down because today we're talking about the super fishy life of Christopher Columbus.
Okay, so I think that a really big question that Angelina brought up is how did his first year voyage to the Americas come to be and what took place?
Yeah, I really want to get into that.
Okay, so, he was born in 1451, and from a very early age as a teenager, in the 1400s during the Renaissance, he was interested in sailing.
So weird.
Yeah, and during the 1400s, people were growing more interested in exploration and what it had to offer.
And then around 1477, so sorry.
So that meant that he was what, like 26 at the time?
Yeah, he was 26, and at that point, he's a merchant mariner for King John II in Portugal. And around the same time, Portugal had colonized the Atlantic Islands and was establishing trade with different African kingdoms.
Yeah. And soon after, there was the discovery that the Indian Ocean is bounded of West Africa, and then that meant that there was going to be a fast and cheap trade route to goods from Asia.
So this was all around the same time as the printing press, right? So then, that was invented around the 1440s. So Christopher Columbus reads these theories through the printing press, and basically this group of European savants had theorized that the world was smaller than previously acknowledged by about 20%.
Damn.
Yeah, so by this logic, Christopher Columbus is like, oh yeah, so sailing west means reaching Asia.
So
And, wait. And he also thought that, Christopher Columbus thought that the Earth was shaped like a pear.
My math says the Earth is teeny tiny and shaped like a pear. Yes, I actually believe this. I can sail from Europe to India in a matter of days.
Okay,
So we thought it was gonna take he was on something else for sure.
So he takes this idea and proposes it to King John, but King John was not having it. He didn't believe the theory and pretty much told him to get out of here, which I would too. And I have to give it to Columbus because he was pretty persistent. But basically what this man does is take this theory not only to Portugal, but France, England, and Spain.
So, lot.
Yeah, but the idea is pretty much a flop because all of them rejected his proposal. That is until Ferdinand and Isabella, who are the monarchs of Spain, funded 3 ships for the voyage.
Damn.
The reason for this is because Ferdinand and Isabella saw this as a way to try and allay Portugal's success.
3 ships is crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, Christopher takes the ship and then he sets sail. Now, on October 12th of 1492, they reach land and he believes he's somewhere near Japan. He starts referring to the locals he finds
Sorry, I'm allergic to Christopher Columbus.
as Indians. This is because at the time, many Europeans referred to Asia as India. These natives were actually Taino people. Sorry if I butcher that. It's clear to Columbus that they possessed no riches like what was said in Asia, because apparently Asia had hella money.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah. In fact, the only gold that they actually even had was just some jewelry that they would wear.
Okay.
Christopher continued to sail from place to place, still in search of gold to return to Spain with, until he reached Hispaniola.
Mm-hmm.
He left 39 men to form a colony there.
That's very little people.
Yeah.
So basically, when he arrived back to Europe, he was pretty much famous, and some of the things he had brought back with him consist of stuffed animals, chili peppers, cotton, tobacco, kidnapped Tainos, and very small amounts
thinks
of
it's
gold.
funny
But Christopher Columbus is kind of a flop for all of that.
Okay. I'm still stuck on the fact that he brought back stuffed animals. I didn't know they had those back in those days.
Right? It's like
I didn't even know that.
I thought the only thing they had was bread and flour.
No, and also that's kind of super messed up because he just fully took all the children's toys too.
Right?
I
Like
mean,
and
he
the people too.
Yeah, no, he didn't even just target the people. He fully also just took away
He
joy.
went all in.
He did
all
animals
in.
He
with,
checked off all the
taxidermy?
boxes. Taxidermy?
Stuffed animals.
That is.
Oh, that's what he meant.
I
I
think
thought
so.
it meant like little teddy bears,
I
like
don't
that Beanie Boo.
Either way, they took away their art too. Because
They took
taxidermy is
everything.
technically
The green
They
Art.
took
Congrats.
everything.
When we come back, we're gonna talk about the Native Americans and their
And,
side of it.
yeah, their side of it and how
Rubber
his
dinosaurs.
his men and stuff, all the terrible stuff that he did to them.
Hi, Queens.
Welcome back to part 2. Let's continue the story. So basically, Ferdinand and Isabel take this as a success, and then they decide to fund 17 more ships for the voyage, which is a lot of ships.
And then, when Columbus returned to Hispaniola, the 39 men he left were found dead and killed by a local chief who allegedly had a lot of gold. And for some reason, Christopher didn't take the dead men as a sign and actually led a crew and found a big gold quarry, which clearly upset the chief and started a fight between the two of them. I mean, I understand the frustration because at this point, Columbus is just marching around like he owns the place.
Yeah, and if you think that's bad, he then, to threaten the chief, decides to take 3 of the chief's captains and publicly beheads them.
Oh my god.
Which, if the chief wasn't upset before, he's just like ballistic now and has had enough at this point. And to make the situation worse,
Which Columbus seems to be great at, by the way.
let's just say he dramatized the situation, and yes, the situation was serious, but he wasn't speaking on the natives' situation. He had wrote back to Spain dramatizing the extent of the gold obtained, even though there was no gold shortage.
Not even to mention that the fact that it was because of him.
And just to kiss up a little bit more, Columbus wanted to enhance the profit for the king and queen and suggest a slave trade. However, without waiting for an answer, he took 500 plus natives hostage and sends them back to Spain. The remaining natives are also clearly pissed off and protested and fought back against Christopher Columbus, and so he thinks the right thing to do is kill pretty much the lot of them. Those of them that were left were forced into paying tributes in gold to Spain, and those with minimal tributes were physically punished and sometimes even killed, when it was 100% not their fault that there was a gold shortage in the first place.
And besides that, what did they owe to Spain and the monarchs?
Literally nothing, especially not when they all had done for everything that they had done for them was take their land, their gold, and even their people.
Exactly.
Now, for the natives being forced into harsh working conditions, not only did it affect them, but the land that they worked so hard to take care of and cherish. Constantly slaving for gold, they had no time to remain farming the land, and those that tried to escape through hills were hunted like animals by Columbus's men. The people of Hispaniola were flogged and slaughtered without trial, and the natives were not only treated terribly, but it wasn't uncommon for women to be raped, and on one account, Christopher Columbus himself kidnapped a Carib woman and passed her on to a crew member to rape.
Along with this atrocity, he has done things such as have a member of his crew cut off a native's ear to shock others in submission, as well as causing the mass suicides of about 50,000 Taino people who felt that they'd rather die than comply with the Spanish.
Bonnet.org says, chronic homelessness of American Indian people is the direct result of the creation of the reservation system, which was accomplished through treaties. Poverty, starvation, and contagious diseases, some intentionally inflicted by the military, were prevalent among Native people due to the loss and theft of their land. The attempted genocide of indigenous people resulted in a 90 through 92% reduction in population. Words cannot explain the amount of damage Christopher Columbus had caused.
After only a few years, what was known as the tribute system, 50,000 Hispaniola natives died due to starvation, suicide, disease, amputation, and war.
46, he sailed to Spain to justify his actions to Ferdinand and Isabella. He left his brother Bartolomeo
Crazy name.
in charge, who managed to do just as much damage as Columbus, if not even more.
These people cannot get a break. He somehow was permitted by the king and queen to return to Hispaniola in 1498. Rebellion had arisen among the Spanish people, and the king and queen of Spain finally sent a royal investigator to assess the situation.
Columbus and his brothers went to trial and were found guilty of numerous crimes against Spanish and natives and were arrested. He lost all control of the New World, and when he grew old was allowed one last voyage before he passed in 1506, but was not allowed to return to Hispaniola. Yale University states the Spaniards exploited the island's gold mines and reduced the Taino to slavery. Within 25 years of Columbus's arrival in Haiti, most of the Taino had died from enslavement, massacre, or disease. By 1514, only 32,000 Taino survived in Hispaniola. 1492 through 93. However, originally, according to the Bronx High School of Science, the Spanish counted 1.1 million Indians. Since that sum covered only Hispaniola's Spanish-controlled half and excluded children, Sawyer concluded that 3 million Indians once inhabited the island. Mind you, Columbus arrived in Hispaniola on December 5th, 1492, and was arrested October 12, 1499. In this short period of time, Columbus murdered, raped, enslaved, starved, maimed, flogged, and destroyed the land of, even stole from the natives of Hispaniola. Christopher Columbus was a murderer, tyrant, and scoundrel, and never deserved a holiday to begin with.
Wow.
Yeah,
what a story.
Why does he even have a holiday? He
Right?
didn't
I
find
think
America.
just recently it got taken away.
Did it actually?
And it got turned to Native.
Americans Day.
Native
Or like
Americans
Indigenous
Day.
Peoples Day.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, because he didn't even find, like, he wasn't, like, actually the founder of America.
And we're glad the indigenous people who died are being recognized.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.